Hey, what's up everyone? This is Kendall from Smoothest Tech, and first of all I want to apologize for my voice as my voice is really hoarse and I'm not feeling the greatest, but I felt the need to bring you guys this video as it's pretty important. As I'm sure all of you guys know, probably from your news feeds blowing up for the entire length of today like mine did while I was in class, Ryzen was released, at least the release date was released. So it looks like Ryzen, at least the 7 series of CPUs, is going to be releasing March 2nd, which is about a little over a week from now. So at least now we have a set date, which is pretty awesome and pretty exciting. That being said, I did watch the entire length of the release video. It's pretty long, 24 minutes long, and I was just kind of taking it all in. Most of the stuff that was announced was stuff that we've already known for a while from leaks, so there's not really a whole lot of new information here per se. That being said, this video is going to be pretty short, but I just kind of wanted to give you guys my thoughts about what's going on with Ryzen and kind of how that's going to affect the rest of the market. And I realize I've had some past videos about this already, and hopefully you guys aren't getting tired of this Ryzen stuff. I realize that's about all I've covered so far, but I've only made 2 videos, and this is my 3rd. So the end of Ryzen news is soon, I would assume. That being said, guys, right here I paused the video at the very end where the CEO of AMD, at least I believe that's who she is. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. That's horrible that I don't know her name right off the top of my head. But she is releasing, at the very end of the video, she releases the official pricing of Ryzen 7. Now, the release date, March 2nd, is only for the 7 series of Ryzen processors, and these are the most highest end of the consumer processors that they have. So these are meant to compete right up there with the i7s, Intel's i7s. That being said, guys, we have the 1700, the 1700X, and the 1800X. Now, they did a couple benchmarks earlier in the video, and I'm not gonna scoot the video back just for you guys to see that because I want to keep this video short, and you guys can go look at this video on your own. And I would suggest it because it's pretty interesting. But that being said, the 1700 is the lowest end of their 7 series processors, and in the video they put this up against the i7 7600K and a Cinebench result. Now, as you guys know, most people that are going to have a high-performance gaming system, or really a high-performance build of any kind at this point, is probably going to be building with that i7. It's the X series or the K series processor that you can overclock. It's got 4 cores, 8 threads. It's pretty much the standard for most people right now that are building high-end desktops. So they put the 1700 up against that. It killed it by over 30%. I think it was 39%. Like I said, I'm not going to pull the video back just to keep this short. But that being said, the 1700, which is the lowest end, is competing right with that i7. Now, if we go to Amazon right now and look at the i7, nope, not the wrong one. Go to look at the i7 7700K. We're priced at $339. So $340 rounded up to make it a little easier. So $340 compared to the release price of the i7 or the 1700, which is $329 or $330. So it's about a $20 difference there. Now that being said, this processor is beating out this i7 7700K for $20 cheaper, and this isn't even the processor that's most likely geared towards more of the gaming community. I see this as more of the budget gamer, to be completely honest with you. If you look at Ryzen 5, maybe, but Ryzen 5 hasn't been released yet, and we've probably got a while. So we look at this and we think, okay, so it's not overclockable, but it's still beating the 7700K. So then you look up at the 1700X, basically the same processor with some higher clock speeds, running this is running at 3.4, and then turbo's 3.8. It's sitting at the $400 price point. Now this processor is kind of right in the middle, in between the 1700 and the 1800X. This processor I foresee being more geared towards kind of the average gamer, the average content creator, the person that's going to need some high horsepower but doesn't want to spend the money for, say, an Intel 6900K, which is $1,000, which is ridiculous. So we have that processor in the lineup as well, and that's only sitting at $400. And then you have the 1800X, which is the highest end Ryzen 7 CPU that AMD is going to be releasing March 2nd. This is, again, it's an 8-core, 16-thread, just like all the other 7 CPUs, except this is running at 3.6 GHz base clock with a turbo frequency of 4 GHz, which is up there for a stock CPU. And this is also overclockable. And the 1800X, as it was shown in the video, is meant to directly compete with the Intel i7 6900K, which is $1,000. And if you go rewind the video, they do a Cinebench comparison, and the 1800X pretty much wipes the floor with the 6900K for literally half the price, which is huge, huge, huge. Now, these results aren't exactly surprising. We've known these for a while. However, now that we have like the actual prices, it's a little bigger news because we can actually see exactly the price for performance comparison against Intel. Now, this being said, Intel is obviously not stupid. They're going to do something. Now, the way I see it, Intel's been sitting on just kind of sitting back, raking in the profits for so long, and easily, single-handedly beating out AMD, that they're probably thinking, well, we can just lower our prices. Now, Intel can lower the prices on their 7700K and all these SKU processors and be fine. The way I look at it, and I want your guys' opinion on this, so please comment and tell me what you guys think. The way I look at it is the Intel 7700K most likely will probably be brought down under $300. Now, that being said, Ryzen is still going to outperform any Intel CPU that's on the market right now from what we're seeing. But if Intel can bring this price back down from $339 as it is on Amazon now to maybe back under $300, maybe $280, I think that's competable. I think that a lot of people that are still wanting to save money and not go for the really high-end stuff are still going to flock towards Intel if they can bring the price down that low. And really, I see that as being Intel's only move. We have no indication that Intel is going to be releasing anything anytime soon, especially with the recent release of the Kaby Lake processors, which really weren't that much of a performance increase from the previous generation. So really, Intel's only move right now that I can tell is to lower the prices. Now, tell me what you guys think in regards to that. But I foresee Intel, especially with like the 7700K processors, which is probably their most popular processor right now for people that are building high-end PCs, is going to come under $300. Now, if we look at the 1800X, which the 1700X I'm not going to talk a whole lot about, simply because there's not really a direct comparison with Intel, especially that they did in the video, because it didn't benchmark the 1700X against an Intel processor. However, the 1800X, which is supposed to directly compete with the i7 6900K, I foresee Intel kind of being stuck here. Because when it comes to this high end of a market and because of this much of a price gap, I mean, you have $500. It's half a grand. Just let that sink in for a minute. I don't really foresee Intel ever bringing their price down that much. So here, I think they're going to be stuck. Now, guys, this is not going to be something, this is going to hurt Intel quite a bit, in my opinion. But this isn't going to be something that's absolutely going to end Intel. People that think this is going to be the absolute death of Intel and that AMD is going to wipe Intel off the face of the earth, that won't happen, guys, realistically. That being said, though, I think this is really going to hurt Intel, and I think that the market is definitely going to shift. I am sold on the fact that if AMD can bring out this performance for this price point, I can't see a single person, even Intel fanboys, which I'm not a fanboy of either brand, so don't worry, I've owned both. But that being said, I don't think that even the fanboys are going to be like, oh, maybe we should look into AMD at this point because the price for performance is so much better if Ryzen does indeed turn out to be really cool. Now, one more thing I should mention, guys, about the 1700, the 1700, the lowest end of the 7 series, is that it's running, I believe, at 65 watts. So significantly lower. The 1700X and the 1800X are running at 95. So that is one thing. The power consumption on the 1700 is one of the biggest selling points of that processor. So it is not overclockable, but it does consume quite a bit less power. So be thinking about that, especially in terms of the laptop market. That's kind of where I'm thinking for the 1700. Now, guys, there's one more interesting thing I want to show you, and that's at the very end of this video, where she talks about the best part of AMD starting now. So this is kind of some buzzwords and marketing play. But if we look at this graph, or not graph, but more of this display here, we have Ryzen desktop CPUs on the left, and we have Radeon Vega as well. Now, Vega's been teased for a while. We know Vega is the next generation, or the next iteration of their GPUs. And I'm actually running one of the Polaris architecture. I've got an RX 480 in my desktop. And I've actually been pretty happy with it. But it didn't necessarily bring out the performance everyone was expecting. So Vega is another big one that's coming. Now, we've also got Naples. Naples is going to be more of their server style CPUs, more on the higher end, like commercial grade CPUs. So that'll be exciting to see because AMD has not been in that market at all. They've been able to keep a small portion of the consumer market for desktop PCs with the FX series just because they're so much cheaper than Intel, even though their performance is significantly lower. But Naples might put them back into the commercial market, which would be exciting. There's two more other things here that are interesting. We got Radeon Instinct, which has been announced before, and I think that has to do with more of like their workstation graphics. But the most interesting thing to me here is Ryzen Mobile. Now, this is something I hadn't heard about yet. I did a Google search real quick for this, and I didn't really find much information on it, so I don't think I'm the only one that hasn't paid attention to Ryzen Mobile because I haven't heard of it. So I don't know if this is the first time this has been heard of or not. So let me know in the comments, guys, if you've heard of this before. But this is interesting to me because Ryzen Mobile is not a market I would particularly see AMD being in. As you guys know, Intel completely failed at joining the mobile market not that long ago with some of their, I can't remember what the name of the processor was. It wasn't the Atom series, I don't think. Someone posted a comment about that, of what it was, because I can't think of it off the top of my head of what the name of it was. But they were going in some HP phones and some different tablets and things like that. And they were decent performance, but in terms of market share, they couldn't compete. You guys don't ever see phones or tablets running Intel CPUs. You see Qualcomm. I mean, the Qualcomm processors are the most common things you see in phones. I mean, my Galaxy S7 Edge has a Qualcomm processor in it, just like most phones do. This is interesting to me. Now, I think that there's definitely potential because Ryzen being such, hopefully, a flexible platform, such a good one, that maybe this is something that's good for mobile. But I don't see Ryzen or AMD being in any position to move into a new market, especially after they have completely failed to even reach the PC market in previous years. Granted, Ryzen might be their new thing that's going to get them back in the game. But this whole Ryzen mobile release is interesting to me. So let me know what you guys think about this. And I believe they said they didn't specifically say when Ryzen mobile was releasing. I know the rest of this stuff was planning on being released by the end of the second quarter. Ryzen mobile, though, they didn't have a whole lot of details on. So let me know what you guys think. So guys, that kind of wraps up this short video. I tried to keep it as short as possible just to kind of give you guys my thoughts about the Ryzen release, as my Twitter feed has been blowing up lately and everything. And that being said, be watching out for that because I do plan on making a Twitter account soon so we can do some Q&A videos and stuff like that. So in terms of the future of the channel, guys, this is my third video. Let me know what you guys think, what I can improve on, what you liked, what you want most importantly, because I've been reporting mainly on Ryzen. And I know other stuff. It's not just CPUs. So when it comes down to that, guys, I want you guys to let me know what you want, whether it be gaming, reviews, CPUs, my own desktop, my own workstation, questions, tutorials, whatever it be, guys. I want to be here for you. I want this to be a clean tech channel where people can come together and just talk about technology and let me share what I know, and you guys share what you know with me at the same time. So again, let me know what you guys think of this video. Give it a thumbs up if you liked it, thumbs down if you didn't. You're not going to offend me. That being said, always let me know what you guys are looking for in future videos. All right, thanks, guys. Peace out.